Hello, 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 and welcome everyone to this Year of the Snake call. Just scanning a little bit, I see a lot of familiar faces, but I also see a whole lot of new faces. And so if you don't mind just taking a moment and sharing with us in the chat, where are you calling in from? We'd love to know. And my name is Chris Covey, and I'm hosting the call today. And I'm going to just take a moment here because I realize that some of you might be new to Masami and her work. So I'm just going to take a minute to also introduce Masami and let you know a little bit about her before we get started today. So Masami leads women in rediscovering the wisdom of lunar cycles through menopause and beyond, using a blend of Japanese moon medicine, physiology, nutritional science, and proven clinical modalities. With over 25 years of clinical experience, Masami uncovers the root causes of imbalance by combining scientific analysis with intuitive insights to provide precise, laser-focused guidance. Her whole person approach translates the subtle subtle language of the body, rather, and offers practical tools to support lasting health and vitality. Born and raised in Japan in a bicultural family, Masami draws from an East-West blend of culture, language, science, and energy medicine. She holds a Master of Science in International Business, and her professional training spans functional nutritional therapy, yoga therapy, positive neuroplasticity, Ayurveda, and applied linguistics. And as a faculty member of the Shift Network and a frequent speaker on health and energy summits, podcasts, and programs, Masami shares her knowledge to empower women and men, but primarily women, on their journey through and beyond menopause. So, and a note on the Shift Network, I just wanted to let you all know that Masami's been saying no for the last 3 years to the Shift Network to have her do another course. Many of you have taken her first course on cosmic flow that she did a few years back, and she has finally said yes. And so she will actually be offering another course on the Shift Network later this year. More information will be coming about lunar wisdom and the moon cycles and so much more. So we hope you can join for that as well. But let's get to what today's call is about. It's the Lunar New Year coming. It's the Year of the Snake, and Masami has a lot to share. So I'm going to hand the mic to her and get this started. So welcome, Masami.
Well, thank you, my dear. So that's my sweet husband right there. Thank you, thank you. And happy Lunar New Year. Well, it's almost there, almost there. But, Wednesday is the new moon, Tuesday night into Wednesday. So I'm just going to call it the Happy New Year. Oh, can you feel it? Can you feel that the dragon's tail is finally slowing down its move and it's calming down? It's going to start to take a nap for a little bit for 12 years. So I am delighted to talk about the Year of the Snake and welcome all of you. And I just want to see where everybody's from or where are we joining from? I know it's from everywhere. You are all from everywhere. So Washington State, Arizona, Canada, so Vancouver in Canada, Maine, Colorado Springs. Hi, Colorado Springs. We just got some snow, didn't we, today? Michigan, Indiana, Seattle, Washington, Nova Scotia, Sweden, Vancouver, Louisiana, Berlin. Thank you, thank you. Carlsbad, California. That's a great place to hang out. New Hampshire, South Carolina, Boulder, Colorado. Yay! UK, Florida, Tennessee, Canada. Yay, Canada. Chris, you are half Canadian. So, whenever we see the word Canada, we'd love it. Niagara Falls, Ontario, Phoenix, Georgia, it goes on. So, there's some Coloradans. So I'm glad to see you all. And I know I'm missing a bunch, but okay. Well, I have so much to cover, as you know. I'm trying to always shorten it as much as I can, but it is so much fun to study Chinese zodiac. And I hope by the end of this, you will have a little bit more deeper understanding, but also a sense of kind of a groundedness and trust and faith in yourself and the rhythm of things, the cycle of things. This is why I love teaching the cycles. And my love for cycles is the moon, the lunar cycles. As I entered into the second half of my life and menopause, postmenopause now. I have really embraced the cycles and how beautiful that is. That we're not just plopped down on this earth and, you know, who knows, whatever is telling us to just go along with whatever that comes. It's like, no, that we are equipped with cycles within ourselves. So hopefully this class or a webinar or this new year call on the snake year will teach you and you'll be intrigued by these rippling effects of life. Okay, so let's get started. And let me share the screen first. And if you can put your camera up, please do, because I love scanning through and we love seeing all of you. So, and you're not recorded, so your face won't be recorded. So don't worrying about that. Okay. And let me know once that's sharing, Chris.
Yes, you are ready to go.
Okay, good. All right. So, well, once again, happy Lunar New Year. And officially starts on January 29th in the United States. In Asia is the 28th. Parts of Europe and the UK will be more like the 28th. But this is the beginning of the new moon. This is the most important new moon of the year. And I'll talk more about that. But first, I wanted to show you these beautiful pictures, okay, and get you to maybe understand a little bit more about what Chinese zodiac means. So Chinese zodiac is a traditional classification system based on the lunar calendar. But it's a mathematical system and it's a culmination of written records and oral history as well. So I want you to look at the Chinese zodiac and what I share, not from a more of a like going to hear a psychic speak. Okay. This is not really a prediction per se, because this is actually a math. This is a bigger universal quantum level math that we are getting to know and we're understanding more and more of. So think of it like what I'm going to explain and what I'm going to do today as a fractal or Fibonacci spiral based on the Fibonacci mathematical sequence, right? And then some of you that have studied the Fibonacci mathematical sequence, you know that it's adding the previous number to the next number, right? So that's kind of what's happening. And by the way, everyone, we're going to have some time to chat afterwards. So I can't see the chats. I can't really answer any of your chats. So if you can hold off on some of your questions, let's do old-fashioned way. Get a piece of paper, get a pencil, write down your questions. Maybe some of them will be answered. You can ask me later also. Okay, so let's do it that way in terms of the chat space. And the fractals are patterns that repeat at different scales. And fractals are complex, but if you zoom in, you can see the patterns are repeating itself. So a lot of mathematicians have talked about this, but a very famous mathematician and a scientist, and I hope I'm going to say his name correctly, but Benoit,
Benoit.
Benoit, thank you, Benoit Mandelbrot or Mandelbrot said. So he's a German, but has a French first name. So it's a complicated one for a non-English speaker and a Japanese speaker like myself, but I did it. He said that a fractal is a way of seeing the infinite. So it's when you go into it deeper and deeper and even pull back, you can begin to see infinite, but also I think the past as well as the future. So the Chinese zodiac is steeped in history, right? Like I said, it's a shared history. It's steeped in celestial observations and records and culmination of wisdom, stories that have been passed down. So again, it's based on complex mathematical patterns and events that repeat. You still need to be able to interpret the fractal patterns through the current lens or current events or current culture and understanding. But what I'm sharing today is based on repeated cycles that our ancestral wisdom and ancestors have actually taught us and passed down. So, although my own interpretation of the patterns and intuitive understanding do come into this call, know that the what I share today is based on thousands of years of observations of patterns and wisdom. So, I honor them deeply as I share this today. And at the end, I will give you some personalized information on what the snake year will bring for you. So stay tuned to the end, okay? And let's just go over a little bit. Next three slides are going to be the slides that I used. I did not alter any of it. It's the same slides that I used for the Year of the Dragon from last year. So some of you have watched this multiple times throughout last year because you said to me, you were emailing me saying, man, that Year of the Dragon call was so awesome that I need to refer back to and learn from it. And I'm glad that it became a part of your support system for last year. But definitely, the last year was challenging. The Year of the Dragon that is finally starting to go to sleep was a key changeover year. It was a monumental year. It was a lot of ups and downs, a lot of things that we thought were common sense no longer became a common sense. It was a changing of the guard year. The society was shifting, new information, new ideologies, way of in which we communicated with one another completely shifted. And it was very intense year in terms of natural disasters, wars, and conflicts, as well as just the new things coming in our minds and our lives, and full of energy and vigor. I said to you that this is the year that you need to really hang on tight to the back of the dragon's back, and you're going to be going up and down, up and down. You'll be discovering things. You'll be diving deeply into the darkness and the light as well. So I hope this was helpful for you when I shared this with you. It was fast moving. So I said, really find ways to ground yourself, find nature as well. It could be very prosperous year, but it was more on the macro level and maybe not at the, more of your personal level per se, but that's coming in terms of the snake year. So I will talk about that a little bit more. Lots of different opportunities, lots of different ways of expressing yourself were shown to you, and it was certainly unconventional era. And Dragon, I said, will reveal, this is the last year's slide. So Dragon Year did reveal truth and deception, limitations and limitlessness also. And what you can do, what you can think, what computers can do, what AI can do. I mean, it's sky's the limit right now. And discrepancies were starting to show in terms of showing maybe what the politicians are saying, but what their actions are doing. There were a lot of just kind of like not able to trust what was happening, was unfolding in for most of us in our lives, wherever you lived and wherever you are, living right now. And a lot of inconsistencies, muck and yuck from internal, external, lots of ugliness, good, bad, and ugly all came up. And it was fast moving. So, it was certainly not a stagnant year. So hopefully, maybe it's a good chance if you have time to review the Year of the Dragon call that I did over the weekend, just to know that that's going to actually play into this year. And reviewing that might be very helpful for you for the Year of the Snake. So when we send out the recording of this year, the Year of the Snake, I will have Chris add the Year of the Dragon call in there too. So if you have time, please look at it. And the last slide for the last year reviewing was challenges that we faced last year was augmented reality. I talked a lot about the AI is going to be just the biggest player, and that's going to get into politics. It's going to get into different affairs, different world arena, personal arena. And that's really, really happened quite a bit. Digital world was expanding. And I talked about the earthquakes, heavy rain, water, wind, and extreme fire, extreme dry, extreme wet, and eclipses power last year were so strong. And I talked a lot about the solar flares because we're in the solar flare cycles are really coming stronger towards the earth, and how the solar flares impact your biology, physiology, even like the levels of your B vitamins, even things that you require in your body, like magnesium, could get zapped from solar flares. These are not just made up stories, everyone. This is actually science that people are studying the solar flares' influences on your bodies. So, a lot of those were shared last year. So, that's just a quick review of the year of the dragon. And let's get into the snake year, which is actually considered to be little dragon year. So you may actually see snake with the dragon's mask on, or the little snake is carrying the last year's dragon with him or her, right? Well, that's because we partner them up. So each symbol or the Chinese zodiac has a partner, and the snake has a partner with the dragon. So you can't just say, oh, good riddance, the 2024 is over, I can move on. Well, not so fast, because this year, the last year's energy is going to play into your personal level, personally earthly level, much more. And so think of the dragon year as the big brother. And in Chinese zodiac, we call that the big brother dragon. And the snake is the little brother. Okay. And the little dragon year symbolizes multiple things, but it's definitely the new beginning. And you might think, well, new beginning, I thought that was like many years ago. You've been preparing for this new beginning, and you will learn a lot about this. It's a transformational year for sure. It's a shedding year. You can probably understand that the snake will shed multiple times, right? And it renew its skin. So that's what you're going to be doing, shedding the old patterns and embrace changes on the personal, so the micro level, as well as the shedding of the larger scale, collective scale as well. So that will carry on from last year's energy. And it's a revival year. So I see revival of ancient practices, reclaiming women's wisdom. Finally, I think that's going to resurge this year, and renewal of plant-based medicine, which I'll talk about a little bit more, restoration of old buildings, and maybe put that into better use, maybe a community center. I was even imagining like old church becoming a farm to table restaurant that we can all come together. Who knows, but there'll be a renewing of the old as well as rebirthing. And wisdom, particularly ancient wisdom, passed down knowledge, that's going to become super important for us. And the wisdom that comes from your own intuition, your inner knowing. So respecting that, very important. And changes from within to the larger scale. But there's a lot of within changes that's going to happen this year. Last year, we had a lot of changes imposed onto us from the outside, and then we had to endure these changes and challenges. But this is the year that you can really feel how much you have grown from that and turn that into your strength and your navigation tools for this year from the internal usage. Okay. And momentum for personal growth. This is going to be huge for kind of this like internal pressure that you've been feeling, that's ready to burst, ready to break free from the shell, break free of the old skin. This is a year of new upgrade at the end of this lunar year. I'm hoping next year when I do the next Lunar New Year call, I hope to see many of you, actually, hopefully all of you, be able to say to me and to yourselves that I am, like Masami 2.0, I'm Mary 2.0, I'm Britt Marie 5.0, we're like upgrading and upgrading and upgrading. That's what I like to see, but that is all up to you this year. There's so much work that you can do for yourself to upgrade. And it's a rebirth, new birth year, and I'll talk about that shortly here. And it's certainly a wealth building year, and I'll talk about that a little bit later in this call as well. So before I go into the next screen, I just want you to maybe get a different perspectives on the Chinese zodiac, which Japanese people share. and how we use the Chinese characters, and how Chinese characters are not just characters to, convey what you want to, or, reading or signing documents and things like that, but it holds symbolism inside. So let's go into that. So these two characters from left to right, in Japanese, we go from top to bottom, right to left, but I did it more of a Western style here. So it goes from the left to right. This first character. So if you look at this character and you see these little symbols I have put on this screen, you can imagine what the ancient people were trying to convey through this Chinese character. These two characters in Japanese, we read it as ki no to mi. Okay, ki no to mi. And that's the year of the snake. Ki no to mi is the word we use to describe this year. Okay, and maybe Chris can type in ki no to mi on the chat so that you know how to say this. So the first character, and before I go into it, when you're looking at the character, you are actually reading the energies, the ancient energies, ancient scholars' energy. So there's a transmissions that are happening to you as you look at the character. The meaning of the first character that I'm going to talk about with this slide is zigzagging. It's a zigzagging year. And that's what that character is. Basically, the scholars got together and said, how do we create character that looks like zigzagging? Okay. Well, in English too, zigzag. I mean, you look at the two usage of Z's there, right? So it's the same kind of a thing. And it means to meander. It's to snake through the year. It's twisting and turning and winding through, okay, and then undulating, and also a serpent course. I'm sure you've heard the word a serpent course, but it's just kind of making your way through life, zigzagging through. So that's the first character. And the second character that's in red, that it's read as me. So the first character was Kinoto, and the last one is me. It means snake. Okay, so you could see the snake's face is the top part. This is the kind of the snake's face part, and this is the tail part. Okay, so it is the snake, shape of the snake, but it's the shape of a fetus. Okay, so you can see a fetus's head here, and this is the rest of the body. Okay, so that's why the energy of the new birth and new start is in there, energetically already stamped in. And also it's the early stage of sprouting. So it's also very much, kind of think of this as the seed right there, and it is breaking free of that. So it's the early stage of the budding, the birth of unique self. It's the new start. This is the year that you will feel that you can be you. Okay. Thank God. Okay. So you don't have to follow everybody else. You get to rebirth yourself. This is truly you finding what you are. What flower are you? What plant are you? Okay. And this character symbolizes the transformation, momentum for new growth and renewal. And it's also expansion and amplification. So, but, anytime I say these things, there's always the challenge and there's the pros and cons, right? There are challenges, but there are always something that will feed you and help you. So expansion can be really not so good in certain cases. Expansion can be beautiful in some cases. So always keep that in mind as well. It's always yin and yang, yin and yang. And by the way, the snake year is a yin year. Okay. Dragon year was the yang year. So this is a beautiful year to really, for me personally, to explore and teach all of you much more about the lunar cycles, the beauty of the moon, beauty of the circa lunar and the dark side of the moon, and how that influences your body, mind, spirit. And once again, the symbol of pushing you out of your habitual range is what this year is about. Just as a snake sheds its skin to allow for growth and a fresh start, this character represents the process of leaving behind old habits, behaviors, or phases of life to embrace new beginning. Okay, so really sit down over the weekend into the next week. I recommend that you spend 1 week really shedding, looking at it, what needs to be shed further, and really make plans of what your year is going to look like, because that's all going to be up to you. And, some may say, oh, I have been shedding for years. I was talking to a friend, he's like, oh my God, I have to shed more. Yes, but the last 5 years of shedding has been preparing for this pushing out of that shell and pushing up through the soil and exposing, exploring who you are. Okay. And you'll be able to reveal or rebirth your true form, true expression, your uniqueness. So up to 2024, it was, and even 2024 was maybe had a lot of exhaustion or, suffering came and trying to maybe fit in, because we suffer because we want to fit in. We suffer because we ask for longing. And in doing so, oftentimes we are suppressing who we really are. So I think this is the year that you're going to find your community just as who you are, as you shed your skin and have the new skin come up. And you've been doing a lot of trauma work. If you are anybody like a spiritual community, involved in it, if you've been working with me, you know that the trauma work has been something that you've been doing for probably years now. And and after years of doing this, we're being encouraged this year to finally shed your skin and embrace the brand new energy that is pouring in. So I would probably put a little less emphasis on digging back your traumas and digging back your very challenging childhood memories too much. You've done a lot of work around that already. And see if you could start to feel the sunlight breaking through the soil to reach your inner seeds that have been germinating and feeding you and nourishing you. So that will be my suggestion. And this is another, slide of images that you know me, how I think in images. And now you probably understand why I think in images, because I grew up in a society that we use characters that are Chinese characters, and they're all based on imagery, right? Or sometimes sound, sometimes it's the maybe certain sensations, a lot of five senses. So images are very important to me. So these are the images that came to me. So this year we grow by twisting and turning. That's important, everyone. We're going to grow by twisting and turning. It's not a straight shot. Okay. Zigzagging our way through life, bumping into things. Okay. It may cause you to shift the course multiple times or get like back into the course of things again, okay? But not a straightforward year. So you will have to decide when to turn right, when to turn left, when to stop and rest, when to start over, okay? Choosing along the way, that's the key. Go around the obstacles sometimes to find your flow again. And this is a great year to find flow. You will be tapping into the power of your own discernment, inner wisdom, intuition, very important this year because it's a very yin year and it's a lunar year, okay? And your own experience, skills, and more. And you may feel that you are uncertain of your path. You may doubt your path at times, okay? Because you have to zigzag so much. You don't feel like you're making the right decision, right? And it feels like you're going back and forth and not feeling confident, but know that this is who you are becoming. This is how you express yourself. Your expression of your unique self cannot happen if you don't zig and zag this year. And growing into who you are and growing into who you're becoming and who you're meant to be requires you to snake through this year. Okay. And another image that came to me is that we are here right now. Okay. We've been underground. We've been working through traumas. We've been working through our skills. We've been, confused and by what's going on in the world and sinking into maybe anxiety and depression and all that too. But then you came out of it. You're coming out of it. Everything is feeding you. Everything has fed you up to this point. And we are right at the beginning stage of your growth. You're at the beginning stage of breaking that shell. No need to plant more seeds. Okay, I'm going to repeat that again. This year, you do not need to plant more seeds. Okay, you've done that plenty. So don't go back and start digging them up again. Let those seeds do their jobs. Okay, trust that, have faith in that. Time to give energy to the shoots to break free of the seeds that nurtured and fed fed its life, the seed's life, and break open the shell or the skin, shed the skin. Have faith in you, have faith in resources that you already possess and the ones that are already around you and that's coming for you this year. And this is all about breaking away from the shell and further exploring your shape or form or what you are becoming. Okay. And I'll talk about flower and plant medicine a little bit shortly, but so important that you keep the image of a plant this year. And let's go into what is required this year. There are several things that's required to navigate this year. Okay. And I'll tell you the snake year may feel slightly on the softer edge, softer side than the large dragon, flying through and giving you a whiplash. But you are going to have your own journey, zigzagging journey this year. So be aware of some of these things and tap into some of these things that's required of you this year. Flexibility. Okay, so think of snake. Snake is not a rigid being, right? It's moving in this beautiful suppleness and flow. Dexterity is going to be important. Nimbleness is important. So getting stiff and rigid and an unyielding nature, that's going to create more suffering for you and people around you. And I also think this was very much intuitively, I felt that I decided to use the word gracefulness because it's kind of one of those words that's kind of being lost in the social media world, crude language, and anybody can not tweet anymore, but use the X or whatever to, say whatever they want any time of the day, just kind of horrific things that people can say. We're kind of losing that courteousness and gentleness and sensitivity. So gracefulness is going to be very important, even elegance. So think of how snake moves, right? In Japanese, the word gracefulness or like elegance or some other words are called teine, teine. So Chris can write that word, T-E-I-N-E-I. Sometimes we say teine, but sometimes we just say tene. Okay. It refers to respectful, careful, considerate behavior. So it's courteous, right? And when someone is tene, they take extra care to ensure that their actions and words are appropriate and thoughtful. This can apply to various contexts, such as like communication, maybe your email, work, and daily interactions. And I often see this being very much lacking, maybe possibly coming from, tea ceremony culture, a place that we take our shoes off when we enter home. So I noticed a lot of differences when I moved to the United States. And it was really interesting. Yesterday, we had a couple over, and a husband is from the US, and then the wife is from Japan. And we were having some gluten-free cookies and having some jasmine tea together. And when, I'm not saying that this is the Western or Eastern things. I mean, it's personally different. Maybe there are people that are not teine that I haven't met in Japan, and I have, okay? But what I was seeing was the husband was putting the teacup down on this hardwood, not hardwood, yeah, it's like a hardwood table that we have, and it was making a lot of noise. And we have the little plate that we put a cookie on, and he was just sliding it across the hardwood table and it was scratching it. And I was just like, oh. And then I watched the wife just, pick up the teacup with the two hands and gently placing, gracefully, elegantly placing the teacup down, and then lifting that plate when she was finished and placed it on this tray that I brought the cookies and the tea to. So it's just maybe this is the year that we need to kind of get into the elegance of things, move in and out of things, less splashy and less muddy and making clinking sounds and breaking things, just let's have a little bit of that undulating, soft movements that's flexible. Okay. So movements of zigzagging kind of movements I've talked about, this will support your inner growth and reclaim and renew ancient wisdom and knowledge, which I've mentioned. Reacquaint yourself with time-tested practices. And, many people, and I'm in the functional nutritional therapy world, with the people who are in cutting edge health and science, and, I have good friends in the biohacking world, right? And they're always looking for new and exciting equipments and methods and products and supplements. And, shiny objects are always really exciting and they sell. But look for ways that we can support kind of an ancient knowledge, but also traditionally necessary ways, and also basic needs that I talk about. Basic needs are you need water, you need to digest, you need to sleep, you need to support your hormones. You need to do things that are basic level before you just go and start biohacking. And many of you that have been following my work, I call my moon wisdom work as a bio hugging, right? I want to hug the biology. I don't want to hack it. That's a very masculine dragon year kind of a yawn energy to me. So let's see what we can do to soften that and gently hold ourselves. And respect for cycles. I've already talked about circadian rhythm. Going to bed at a reasonable time, everyone. Okay, circle lunar. Know when it's new moon, when it's full moon, how that impacts your melatonin level. How's that impacting your oxytocin? When you should reach out to people, when maybe it will be better that you stay inward and reflect. All these things are very, very important. And intuition and trust. Trust yourself as you walk the meandering and winding road, and avoid rushing. Be thorough with your endeavors and don't rush into decisions. Avoid impulsiveness. While it's great to seize opportunities, yes, okay, impulsive actions may lead to complications. And we are still, remember, in the early stage of growth here. So I always say to people, basics, because you can't do the calculus math if you don't even know how to add or subtract. So let's come back to adding and subtracting. Okay. Take your time to evaluate situations and, focus and stay on the course. And again, doubt may creep in here because we're going to be going back and forth, right side, left side. You'll be swinging and, deciding your faith and your life forward. So you might get kind of like, oh my gosh, am I doing okay? Is this like, am I even moving forward? Okay, because we're going to be zigzagging, but stay true to yourself and stay focused and know that you're on the right path. Write that down. I'm on the right path. Anytime you get confused this year, anytime you feel low on yourself, read that statement. I'm on the right path. Okay. And a couple more things. And this is about the year that if you go out of balance, what you're going to experience. If you're in balance, what you experience. And this is not just on the individual level, but collective. And then it's also on the global scale. So this year of the snake brings its own unique set of influences and characteristics. And let's go into out of balance, some of the characteristics, right? So we will experience excessive worrying, and this can lead to increased stress, anxiety, doubt, and this will lead to also loss of faith, and loss of faith in self, but also your choices, but also government, maybe even friendships, maybe workplace. so it can expand into that level as well. So if you don't consciously work on connecting with yourself and stay flexible, you can get thrown off by your own emotions this year. So it can be a tough year if you don't have practices like a daily awareness, daily grounding, daily circa rhythm, and coming back to the rhythmic way of living. You can get very thrown off by emotions, and you will start to translate that as, oh, my guides are saying this, or my intuition said so, or my stars are telling me. And then you just get completely whiplashed by your own emotions. So see if you can bring yourself back to the balance that will be calmness and cool headedness. Okay. And you could get suspicious, and we can get overly cautious and suspicious of others' motives, sometimes leading to trust issues. This can create further anxiety and stress division. And last year's word of the year was polarization. Okay. I will refuse to be polarized within me this year. So do what you can to unite yourself within. And jealousy can creep in when out of balance. We can get quite possessive and jealous, particularly in relationships. So create trusting relationships early on in the year, which is right now. Okay. Secretive, you could get very secretive and you don't share anything. And, you could be misunderstood because you're not sharing your thoughts and feelings about it. And this can also lead to trust issues. But I also see it in the bigger picture on a political level, maybe world arena, that we may actually see, or the revealing of the treaties or hidden agendas or hidden agreements between different countries. I could totally see maybe US and Russia having a political hidden agendas or treaties that we are going to learn about. Okay, so we don't know, but know that that's an expression of the out of balance snake year. And manipulation using forces or intelligence, even AI, even fake news, all that to even charm, to manipulate situations. Overly ambitious, I talked about, being ambitious is fine, but know that can cause you internal stress, extra stress. So know that you're going to be zigzagging. This is kind of a slow moving, but steady. Okay. Steady growth is what's necessary here. And swallowing whole. So taking on too much all at once, gobbling up all at once. So, signing up for this course, that course, information, training, learning, and just trying to engulf everything at once. Well, that's just not going to work. You're going to definitely choke on all that. So, and you'll be overwhelmed. So that's not a good nature of the snake as a human beings to practice. So let's not mimic that side of the snake. Okay. And when in balance, I mentioned about the cool-headedness, coolness, meticulous. So, which is like plan and pay attention to details. Okay. So if you're going to take a trip, plan in a little bit more than maybe last several years. Pay attention to the details. I think this is the year that the retrogrades are going to definitely impact us. That's part of our cycles as well, not just Mercury retrograde, but other retrogrades as well. And great year to evaluate situations before making significant moves this year. And persistence and tenacity is required. And that's going to rise up from you if you're in balance, so you can continue working. And there's a Japanese word, and that we shared with the Chinese word. It's called nanakorobi yaoki. Means you fall down 7 times, but you get back up 8 times. So you are going to get back up every time, one more time more than you falling down. Okay, so trust that, faith in that. We will bump up against challenges. We'll fall. Okay. But it's all about how you fall and how you swim through, how you create flow in your life. So pay attention. How am I responding to the situations? And how am I reacting that is causing me more pain? Okay. Steady progress, growing skills, expertise, competence. Great year to embrace opportunities for learning, gaining skills, but just not all at once. Okay. And not like take a weekend course from somebody and turn around and, make it into your course and sell it. It's like I've seen that happen so many times since COVID, particularly. People just taking somebody else's ideas and turning it around and selling it. Well, that's going to get revealed, and you will know that that person really didn't use that knowledge and turned it into wisdom. The wisdom is the key this year, and patience. And through the patience of zig and zagging, you'll find flow, just like this beautiful Mississippi River or beautiful rivers that you have in your country, the meandering river. Okay. And Chris, I'll ask you a meandering river name in Canada at the end, so stay tuned. Okay. And wood snake year, we call it the wood snake year, but it's actually in Chinese and Japanese translation is not wood. It's actually plants and flowers. This is actually the year of the plants and flowers. So if you have a garden, this is a great year to really reconnect with that. And last year's wood was like tree. So it's like a really strong growth. That was the yang year. But it's pairing with that energy, but it's more on the smaller flowers, things that kind of vines and things, maybe ground covers that will spread. That's the kind of energy. So this is the year that the new and old plants medicine will see resurgence and rebirth of plant medicine and new birth of plant medicine that perhaps goes beyond what we have seen before. So, or it's been lost that we're going to find it again. Okay. So I think it'll go beyond just maybe like essential oil usage or flower essence. I think it's going to go into much more. This can be incorporated into medicine itself. This can be used as more of a frequency medicine. I really feel that was my intuitive sense, is that we're going to see more frequency medicine. And in fact, I'm working with somebody right now that I'm testing out the frequency medicine right now on myself, and it's been quite powerful. So stay tuned to that. We'll be talking about this during this coming year, the snake year for sure. Okay. And gemotherapy's been around, but it's involving the buds and the plants, shoots, and seeds. And that's how they get the essence, and then you create the gemotherapy. That could be an interesting thing to look into beyond just kind of what the plant medicine to be up to this point. And I do think that the plant-based teas are going to have even more of a place for hormonal therapy, not just bioidentical hormones, but I do think that using things like hibiscus to support your hormone balance, that can become a really good thing to look at, which I've been talking about since last year. And if you've taken some of my courses, I've talked about certain teas that would be very helpful for your progesterone and estrogen balance as well, and testosterone balance as well. Mushrooms. Oh man, this is going to be exciting this year. Wider acceptance for things like psilocybin, so-called magic mushrooms, widely going to be accepted. And this is a yin energy year, right? So a lot of the plants that grow in a shaded place, so that includes fungi, right? So fungi, the mushrooms are going to be a really big key to this year. And I think it's going to no longer be this like weird medicine some fringe people are using, but I think this is going to be widely accepted. And also venom-based medicine is something that I felt intuitively as well. Well, of course, it's the snake year too. And venom-based medicine is already used in the medical world, especially with blood clots or heart medicine. So it's already used in that, but I think there will be people that are going to be looking at this more carefully in conjunction with the mushrooms and maybe conjunction with the plant medicine. I don't know, they will mix all of them together, but something very exciting is going to happen. But from this tiny, tiny living things, not the giant ideas, but these tiny things are going to feed our soul, body, mind, and spirit. And this is, like I said, it's the money and wealth potential year. This is a great year if you want to look at how you can save. It has this energy that will support you to build your savings. You can rebudget yourself. I think this could be a good year for you if you are looking to buy a house, to save the down payment. Okay, things like that, and building financial foundation for retirement and living longer because women are living longer and longer and longer. Yes, there are men on this call as well, but most of the people that I work with are women, and we are living much, much longer than men. And our menopause, post-menopause will go on for 50 more years for a lot of us. So, how are you going to save for that? And really asking yourself, what is wealth? That isn't just about money, but money matters. So don't put the label money is bad. I don't want to talk about money. Wealthy people, people that have money are bad people. It's like that kind of old patterns and behaviors really need to be looked at and shed. Okay. It's time to shed those things. But ask yourself, what is wealth? Right. And it's a chance to renew your definition of wealth. Is it just money? Is it just finance? Well, absolutely not. It's community, it's friendships. I've kind of listed some of mine, but you may have some of yours. Nature is very important for me in terms of wealth. I will always choose to live in a place that I can access nature very easily, clean air, clean water. And also for me personally, as a functional nutritional therapist, I want to have the wealth of the right to choose my own healthcare. That I have the right to choose how I support my body, mind, and spirit, and not just conventional medicine that is paid by the insurance. And hopefully that is going to be widely accepted, and more, maybe hospitals, maybe clinics, people like me are going to express this and take on clients and patients to work with. And having a sound mind, very important. As we get older as women, Alzheimer's ratio goes up. Dementia and Alzheimer's, far more than men, women are diagnosed with those things. So, I talk about this. I just talked about the B vitamin things as well. Take a look at those things. I will always be supporting you through information. So, look into that. That could be your wealth and, of course, your health, right? And just a couple more slides here. So this is the year, I'm part of the health world. My work is being a health intuitive, medical intuitive, and a functional nutritional therapist among Ayurvedically trained and yoga therapists. And, I work with the neuroplasticity and all these other things. So I love talking about the health. So when you think of the year of the snake, I immediately think of the symbol of the medicine, snakes going up the long shaft, right? And it's symbolizing all of us to heal together. It's the goddess of healing, Greek goddess of healing. That's what this is. So there's a lot of healing that can happen from the inside out. And it might be small scale this year, but don't lose sight of that, the germinating seed and your power of your individual seed. And of course, I can't not talk about Kundalini energy this year. I'm not going to go into huge detail here today because I suspect I'll be talking about Kundalini energy throughout this year because you want to slowly awaken the Kundalini energy. I've worked with people that have awakened the Kundalini energy through extreme breath work and doing a breath of fire too much, or doing all kinds of crazy yogic postures and incorporating breath work, and they've actually opened up and created too much energy flow. And I had to work with at least two people in the last 20 years. I know I don't encounter too many of them that really practically lost their minds. So I want you to be careful about Kundalini awakening. This is a very sacred practice and needs to do this slowly and with somebody that really understands the beauty but danger at the same time. So it's just like a snake, isn't it? It's beautiful, but it can be dangerous. Okay. And let's talk about the health a little bit more here. This is the year that you commit to letting go of your old habits that don't support your body, mind, spirit anymore. And so saying, this is who I am, or this is what I have been, or, I have a friend that constantly says, well, this is just who I am. Well, that's just not going to work. Let's let go, let go of your belief system and views, and let's change. We can shed. and try new things, try new foods, go to a different grocery stores. I go to the Asian grocery stores a lot. Middle Eastern grocery stores are fun, right? Go to different places, try different foods, different exercises. Don't do the same thing over and over. Different movements. That's going to give you flexibility and use flower medicine, use the plant medicine, breath techniques and meditations that are different than what you've been doing, and have a childlike curiosity to come with it, and focus on longevity, not short-term fixes and biohacking and doing all shiny new things, but come back to basics and shedding, cleanse, and detox. Very important this year. So I know some of you are already excited that I will be doing the spring cleanse and the fall cleanse. And many of you know I do not take anybody through a cleanse in the month of January or February. So if you're doing a cleanse, please think twice, or planning on doing a cleanse, think twice. That goes completely against your biorhythm. And Ayurvedically, that's seen as basically something that will create upside down energetic fields in you. It will create all kinds of chaos inside your energy fields. So please don't do cleanse till at least the spring cleanse and the fall cleanse. But there's going to be a lot of need and requirements for us to shed and detox. And that's going to really create flow. And focusing on lymphatic system, once again, last year was too, vagus nerve, maybe large intestine. That was really coming into me strongly while I was working on these slides and everything else that I was focusing on. Large intestinal movements, flow. How are you shedding things? That's going to be coming in very strongly. Lymphatic system, that is the lymphatic system of the brain, lungs. So what you're taking in and what you're breathing out. So think of flow, flow, flow. Okay. And just a couple more things. Yes, that's in Japanese. It's called Ichinen no kei wa gantan ni ari. And I'll read that again. Ichinen no kei wa gantan ni ari. What that means is that what you do on the first day of the year will sum up this year. Okay. So a lot of people ask me predictions. What do you think? Because okay, well, I could, I bridge between the science and the spirituality. So there's some of that predictions that come in. But most of what I share is based on understanding the cyclicality of the moon. That's what I share on the YouTube videos every month, right? On the full moon and sometimes on a new moon. Is all about me understanding the rhythm. Okay. So what you want to do is make sure that starting today, and I would say to the Groundhog Day, which is like February 2nd, Chinese New Year will go on a little bit longer, but I would say the next week or so, how you go about waking up in the morning, how you nourish yourself, how you treat yourself, how you show up to life for the next week is going to set your year. That is the best prediction that I can give you. Instead of looking at your stars, signs, moon signs, sun signs, you can go into a rabbit hole with it, and which is also science, by the way. But the quickest and easiest way of understanding what is this year going to be like for me, pay attention to how you live for the next week. So it says today, first day, but the first day is from basically today till about February 2nd. So this next week is going to be very important. So remember the first picture that I showed you, right? The Fibonacci's and fractal effects. So it's the rippling effect, that little dip that you're creating in this next week, starting today, is going to determine what kind of a rippling effects you're going to create for the rest of your life, but also particularly this year. Okay. And your action will have far-reaching effects on your life and others on this earth than you think. So start small and know that is making a difference. This is the time to face our own unique expression, reset your mode that you do not wish to repeat this year. Don't get too caught up on the first day. Like I said, pay attention to how you are living your life right now and make conscious changes for the next week. Okay. And for the just so you know that the Chinese New Year for this year, it changes every year, continues till February 12th. Okay, 1, 2. So you do have time. However, I don't want you to wait because it's this initial energy is the most powerful time to shift your mind, the way you show up, the way you open up your heart, the way you treat your physiology. Okay. So let's take a little moment here just to look at this slide. I'm going to quiet down for a moment here and just ask yourself what matters to you most? What matters to you most right now? Maybe there are a couple, maybe not just one thing, maybe 3, 4 things. That's fine. And does it or do they matter to you for this entire year, this next lunar cycle? If they matter to you, then you are going to consciously practice that this coming year, the coming week, I meant, this coming week. So let's just close your eyes for a moment if that's comfortable. Check back in. Maybe come up with 3 actions, real actions and activities that you can take for next week, starting today, ending next Sunday. What are they? Perhaps place your hands on your heart center or maybe one on the belly. Make that commitment for yourself. Taking a slow breath on your own. Take another one. And as you exhale, maybe perhaps you say, I will. I will. You're making a commitment to yourself, nobody else. It's a contract you're signing within yourself, with yourself. Good. And slowly opening your eyes. Shake it out a little bit. Okay, we haven't moved our bodies in a while, so I'm just going to do a little snake move. Shoulders and moving with my arms. Just feels like what it is to move in that flexible, winding, zigzagging, flowy, snaky moves. Yeah. And then I'm going to have Chris read the last slide for us. And maybe you can explain, because I explained it to Chris, why I chose this quote in this poem. So maybe you could express that for all of us, and then we'll wrap up.
So this is one of our favorite poems from Rainer Maria Rilke, the German poet. And I'll read this, but like Masami said, we often come back to this poem because of this very same thing that Masami just expressed of these rippling effects and how that changes. And each time that we make a pass, we're circling in our lives. We're going around and around, and we're changing each time. So this year, we're changing into this snake energy and this transformational energy that it's inviting. So keep that feeling in mind and that openness that it invites as I'm reading this. I live my life in widening circles that reach out across the world. I may not complete this last one, but I give myself to it. I circle around God, around the primordial tower. I've been circling for thousands of years, and I still don't know. Am I a falcon, a storm, or a great song? I live my life in widening circles that reach out across the world. I may not complete this last one, but I give myself to it. I circle around God, around the primordial tower. I've been circling for thousands of years and I still don't know. Am I a falcon, a storm, or a great song?
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. So I feel like even though this poet might not have known the Chinese zodiac, maybe he did, but it's like, am I a dragon? Am I a rabbit? Am I a rooster? Or am I a snake? But you know what? This year, all of us transform into this flowing, moving, snaking through wood year snake, which is more of a plant flower snake. So that's what this poem is for me. And I will stop the share. So thank you, everyone. And I'm sure some of you have some questions, but let's do that. But let me know how that was for you in terms of hopefully this will be supportive of you. Some of you are probably already feeling some of that snake ear energy coming in. And some of you are like, yep, the intense, dynamic, challenging dragon year is starting to calm down and coming down into the yin aspects. I'm sure many of you are feeling that. So, right. Well, thank you, everyone. Yeah. Thank you for your thanks. And I'm going to read a couple. Wow, this has been so beautiful. Thank you both for sharing this. Oh my God, it's going up in this way. Okay, hold on. I got to scroll up. I connected with this so much. This on such a different level and perspective, and I'm so grateful for that. Yeah. So my goal every year is I want you to learn why these ancient traditions and ancient wisdom still live strongly now. That's because there's so much wisdom behind it. There's so many nuggets that we can just collect, So if you feel this urge, the anxiety that come up that says, I just need somebody to predict me and I just need to give me a prediction. I just need to tell somebody to tell me what to do. I need you to stop this year. Come home. And I could see why the last 5 years of the Chinese zodiac signs that started with the rat, year of the rat. So many people are looking for psychics and people to predict. I don't know you know about this, but there's been a huge, I don't know the word. People are just looking for that. People are looking for somebody else to tell you what to do, what to think, what to believe. Okay. But you've done that, been there, done that. It's time to shed that so that you can really, really go inward this year and start to trust. Trusting and faith, those things take time. And that's something that in this modern world almost doesn't allow. We're not even allowed to sit with something. So sit with it, rewatch this so that you can sit with it. Okay. And you can zigzag your way up into your unique flower, to your unique plant that you are. So we will create a field of wildflowers. That's the image that I have this year. And are we going to have challenges? Absolutely. I actually had another slide that I decided not to do. Okay. Because it's just not worth it for me to share that side of it. Are we going to have natural disasters? Of course. Okay. Are we going to have fires? Are we going to have earthquakes? Are we going to have flooding? Yes. Are we going to have world conflicts? Yes. However, we're also going to see some things end also. Some of the wars, some of the conflicts will also end. Okay, because this is an ending and a new beginning. So we're going to see both forming in all around us. but I wanted to really focus in on you, and I wanted to focus on what the snake year really brings into us, which is individual growth and rebirthing. Okay. So, and Chris, you want to read some comments?
Sure. I wanted to start with, we're not seeing a lot of questions, which is just fine, but a lot of great comments, and thank you for your feedback, everyone. But I wanted to go back to one that came in earlier as you were sharing the slides about the river. And because Carol shared one of our favorite lines actually from John O'Donohue, which is, I would love to live like a river flows, carried by the surprise of its own unfolding. I'll say that again. I would love to live like a river flows, carried by the surprise of its own unfolding. That's John O'Donohue. So thank you for that, Carol. That's a lovely and very timely reminder for what this is about and what we're about as human beings.
And we love his work. His work continues on, even from the heavenly realm. So we have a book that we actually recommend by him on my website. If you go to the resources and if you click on books, you will see one of the books that we recommend from him as well. But that's a delicious quote. So thanks for sharing that. That was very yummy.
So I
Yeah.
So there, I want to read one more comment, and then we'll wrap up here in just a moment. But we will be posting a replay. So make sure that you're signed up, because this will come through our list. You should be signed up because you're registered. So you had to sign up on the list to do that. But we'll send out the recording link through our list probably tomorrow. And you'll be able to watch the replay as many times as you like from there. So, okay.
So Ilka, you asked me a question, but I'm gonna throw that question back at you, and I'm not gonna answer that question because that came from your old behaviors and patterns. Okay, that question is not a question it's suited for this next snake year. Okay, it's really not about asking, is this going to be an easier year? Okay, right. So let's just shed that too.
And if I could add to that, Masami, those of you that joined us for the meditation last week, we actually spoke about this, that the more that you open yourself up to what's coming and what's real and alive in your own life, the more you're actually opening yourself to pain, to adversity, to what's happening in the world and others' experiences. And that actually isn't easier. It's tough. We feel it. It's sharp sometimes. It makes us cry sometimes. It turns us inside out. So if you're looking for the easy way, this probably isn't going to work for you to follow some of the advice that Masami's giving, because it's not easy. It's constant. We have to stay on top of it. We have to keep challenging ourselves to open up, open up, open up, because everything in our instincts tells us, be afraid, shut down, protect yourself. Okay, so what we're talking about here is the opposite of that. And it takes constant self reminders and reaching out and moving past what's comfortable. Okay.
Right. So hopefully we can tap back into your inner wisdom, your inner strength, and also inner patience. I think that's going to be challenged quite a bit. But if you could tap into those qualities that I've talked about, you'll find your way zigzagging through this year. It's going to be a very grounded, earthly kind of a year. So it's not flying up into the air and coming down. It's very much you coming home to your own inner natural elements. Okay. So whenever you feel like this isn't me, this is just an external pressure telling me to do X, Y, and Z. So therefore I look successful, or I can appear successful, or I can this and that. Really pause long enough till you can settle that muddy water down to the clear water so you can see through it. And I'm already feeling this a lot, okay, because I'm in the world of where we are being pressured to produce, to create, to show up, to be. And that's going to cause a lot of conflicts within you, and that could turn into kind of an illness of some kind. Okay, whether it could be mental, but it could be emotional, but it could be physically. You may struggle from that stress. So, constipation is often a sign of that. Could be diarrhea, could be a sign of that. Okay, it's just too much, right? So, um, just come home to what it is that the you are crack opening and shedding, and be curious. Be so excited to see what you are going to look like as a flower. Okay, you may not even know what flower you're going to be this year. Okay, so don't even name it. Oh, I'm going to be a sunflower. I'm going to be a cosmos. Like, no, no, no. Just be curious. I don't know. Let the universe surprise you, right? How often do we get surprised these days, right? Not much, because we don't do a lot of things spontaneously. There you go, right? So allow some of those, kind of the natural flow. What's around the bend? What's around the bend? Okay. So that's what I have for you. Thank you. I see so many comments. I will take the time to read after I get off. Thank you so much for your presence. I appreciate all of you being here, and some of you are new to my work, so check out my work. I will be doing more things this year, but probably in a little bit of a different way than the last 5 years or so since COVID. So stay tuned to that. And I'm looking forward to having a little bit more closer connections, communities that really support one another. That's the type of work that I'm looking forward to doing, where we don't have to be camera shy, that we can raise our hands, and small group of us can come together and really, really share our hearts, okay, and what we've been shedding. So we can just come in with a basket full of shedded skin. Okay, we will do that. Okay, thank you, Chris. Do you need to add anything else?
No, I just wanted to thank everyone for bringing your presence into this mix because, of course, Masami and I talk about these things together all the time, but to bring it out into a much wider community really matters. And to have your presence, it feeds us, and it also reflects back to you and back to us in this way that keeps this whole thing moving and growing. And just so many of your comments are reflecting this recognition of what Masami has introduced. Many of you have expressed that you're feeling a sense of it already, and it's helping you to feel a trust that you can have going into this coming year, which of course will be full of unknowns. That's the nature of how we experience life and time and everything. So trust it, open to it, find out who you are with it. So thank you, everyone. That's all I've got for today. Thank you.
All right. Well, Happy New Year, everyone. We'll speak soon. Bye.